Hi guys, so this is part 4 for Discord.net tutorial. We're going to be doing, we're going to mess around with the service providers and make a event handler so we can move all of our event stuff to its own file. This also will help us later on for the music part, which I figured out how to make it work. But I tried doing some tests with it with what we have right now, and it does not work. So we have to do some changes to the files to implement the music stuff to the bot. So the first thing we need to do is I already have it installed, but with what we need is called Microsoft.extensions.dependency injection. You will need this installed. The reason for this, I'll show you in a second. Go back to bots. So first thing is what is a service? A service is um, it's it's hard to explain what a service is. A service is usually with it's a collection of dependencies in one like variable. It's really hard to explain what it is, but so yeah, so a service is basically a collection of dependencies that we can put everything in, and then we have the instance of those dependencies. So the example would be the client. We can't necessarily just go into any file and say using the bot class and use the client class, because we're technically creating a new instance of that client object. And that will not help us, because since since it's a new client object, that means it's not associated with our bot, but it's associated with a newer version of our bot with no token, with no anything. So then we will have problems with it. So the service provider, which is what we'll be using, allows us to get the instance of the client object, for example, and still have everything that we need for it. This is very similar to when you're passing in a formal and a actual parameter through the formal parameter, like placement of a method. So example would have been like, it's very similar to the command manager, where we had to pass in the commands and the clients through in order to get the instance of those objects. The service provider is very similar to that. So the first thing we have to do to make this work is we need to be using Microsoft.extensions.dependency injection. Dependency injection is basically allowing us to use the service stuff. It's called a dependency injection because we're technically injecting the dependencies through the files. So the first thing we need to do here is we gotta make a private iService provider. I realized that I don't have any music on, so that's kind of boring. There we go. But so we need like we're gonna call it services. Okay. So the thing is, so whenever you see an I, capitalized I, and then you have a capitalized letter after it, and then you have the name, like this iService provider, usually that means it's an interface, as it says. A lot of times when you do interfaces, usually this is the way you want to do it. The reason is because it's very like identifiable because of the I. So the problem here is that there's no methods for us to actually put in our object stuff in there. That's what the dependency injection is for. So in order for us to do that, we actually need to make a new class. We're going to call it private it's going to be a service provider, and then we're going to call it build service provider. Okay, and then we can do something like this, and we do return a new, oops, can I not do that? Nope, apparently I can't. So I need to put that in there, return a new service collection, because it is a collection of dependencies, so we need this. Okay, then we need to do build service provider. Okay, and then so let's add this to the service object. So we do services is equals to build service provider, and as you can see, it works because service provider is technically the type of service iService provider, because it implements that interface, if that makes sense. So in order for us to pass in our client object, we have to do add singleton, and we do client. Okay. Then for the commands, we want to do is add singleton, and we do commands. Okay. So the nice thing about using services in this case is because we can go into command manager, and then we'll do it as well. So we'll do a private. It's a read only, so read only service provider, if I can type, and we'll do services. Okay. And so what is nice is we don't have to add all of them. We can actually add them all through one parameter. So we're going to make a formal parameter of service provider, and it's going to be services. Okay. And then we're going to be using Microsoft extensions.dependency injection. Okay. So now, how do we get the commands in the client object? Well, basically we can just do services dot get required services, and then we want the type. So this is going to be the type of command service. So how that works is basically it'll look through the services, and it'll find the command service type object, so our commands from the bot file. It'll search for one that is that type, and then it'll return it back to us. So then we have the commands object from the bot file, and we can do the same here for the client. So we'll do services dot get required, and we do Discord socket client, and it'll do the exact same thing. And then we're going to do services is equals to service. Reason why we want this is because we're going to try and implement this into our commands. So we can actually, since we don't have another variable called client or commands, we can remove the underscore, but it would be more time consuming to do it by one by one. So a nice way of doing this is, if you're in Visual Studio, if you hit Control R and Control R again, so Control R, it lets you rename everything that, well, allows you to rename that variable, and then changes all the variables that is referencing it or is that variable. So example, client. As you can see, it changed all these clients as well, which is nice. So then I don't have to do it all on one by one. So commands. There we go. Why is it saying that? Saying that it can be read, but it can. Okay. Now in here, so we're going to implement our commands, our services into the commands. So we just do services. Simple. We go down here, do the exact same thing. Reduce services. Okay, and then I'll implement all of our services to our commands, which is nice. So now we need to do, well, what we're going to do is we're going to make an event handler. Um, so what an event handler is very similar to a command handler, and is very similar to the command manager. However, it's for events, so it basically handles all of our events. We don't have to worry about going to this one file for blah blah blah, and another file for another thing. We have everything and all of our events into one thing. That's why it's called an event handler, because it handles all of our events. No other file will be handling our events, just that file. Okay. So we're gonna make a new class. And we're going to call it event handler.cs. Okay. Now we need to be using system.threading.task, using discord.commands, using discord.websocket. Okay, and we do need this to be a public class, and then we're just going to do a private. We're going to do stuff to the client object, so we don't want it to be read only. So we do Discord socket client. We're going to call it client. Private read only, because we're only reading the commands. We're not doing anything like setting all that stuff. So command service is going to be commands, and then private read only service provider, and we'll do services. Okay, and I'll do public event handler. Okay, and then we need to pass in a formal parameter. So services, not services, but iService provider services. Okay, and then we do client is equals to services.get required service Discord socket client. Commands is equals to services.get required service, and it's going to be command service. Okay, and then services is equals to services. Okay, now we have that. And then we need to do is a public async task init async. This is this is how we execute all of our events and to make sure they run, basically. It's very similar to this, which actually is kind of funny because we actually need to be in here because we're moving this message event. We're gonna then we go over to here. And we do client dot message received, and it's going to be message event. Okay, and then that's one of our events that we're going to do. We actually can leave that there, that's fine, because it's technically not an event, it's technically a log. It actually no, it's technically a subscriber. We're subscribing to it, and it has to do with the command, so it's fine to be there, but we can move it to the event handler if we really wanted to, but we don't. Now we're going to go over here, and then we're going to, not over here, we want to go to the bot. Okay, oh yeah, we need to change this to be the services. Okay. And then we can actually change this right here, make this shorter. And we just do await a new command manager services dot initialize async, and that will initialize it. And then we can do the event handler right now. So new event handler services dot init async. Make sure you have the command manager in front of the event handler. The reason for it is because we want our commands to be done and ready for the message event. If we have the event handler in front of the command manager, then we won't have any of our commands really. It's not, I could be wrong, it might not matter, but it's always good to have the thing that needs to have everything in it before something happens be first, because there could be problems with it. I haven't really tested it. I always just put the command manager in front of the event handler because I need the commands to be done before I put them in the message event. Anyway, since we're here, we can start moving this stuff. So client's fine right there. I should probably change that name, but we're going to move the ready event, move it over here, we're going to put on top. Then we do over here, we're going to do client dot ready is equals to the ready event. Go back to the bot one, fix this quick. And then we're also I'm going to do one more thing here. We're going to fix a little bit of stuff over here. Instead of having it like this, we can actually just do string dot is null or white space, and we just do config dot bot dot token. This does exactly the same thing as what it was before. It's just shorter. So here we can actually start going through here, making sure things are shorter and more fluent in a sense. So we can go like to here. We can actually do like a for each loop here, and make sure it tells us what commands are executed or was loaded, which will be nice, so then we know if we forgot to add the command attribute to a command. So we can do that right now. So for each, we're going to do like a bar cmd. It should be in the commands dot commands. Actually, we don't need brackets because we're doing one line. And we're just going to do console dot write, and then we're going to do let's do it nicely. So we're going to do like let's do date. So date time dot now. And then we're going to do commands, and then we're going to just do cmd dot name was loaded. Okay. So that basically when the bot runs, and then it will just tell us what commands was loaded and such. We can actually go over here, and I think we can fix something over here. Yeah, so we can just do like I think there is one, like I can say dot is, or string dot is empty, represents the empty string. Nope, I don't think there is a dot empty because we aren't dealing with null, so that's fine right there. Right here is fine. Fine. We go to roll commands. That should be fine. Over here, that's fine. Okay, so we have everything over here. We can actually just change this, and it can be like that. And we can actually do a return task dot so then we won't have any like warnings or errors such. Go over here. I think our is already in here. I know there's something in here I want to change. Client log. Okay. Okay, now we can test it and make sure everything works. As you can see, I accidentally put the $sign in there, but it's fine. As you can see, so when the bot runs, it'll tell us what commands was loaded. So this is all the commands that we made, and we have the command attribute on. I should fix that real quick. Over here, yep. I keep doing that because because the JavaScript has that for their string inject. Okay. Ooh. Kind of want to do it like this to make it more fluent in a way, but we don't have to. We're gonna fix that ready one before we end this. So let's do that. So we go to the bot. So right here, so we do the @ right here, right? So we can actually change this, and we can do it like this. We're gonna just like copy that real quick. Okay, dot now. So we do like this. Okay, and then we do that. Okay, that'll look much better. Just want to do this in the ready event, so to make things look nicer. That's why we're doing this. This is the ready event. Okay. Now, if we run it, everything should look nicer now. Yep, so as you can see, things are much nicer. I think later on I will develop something that will make this look so much nicer. Like I'll have things be in like one column, and then it won't be like, see where the semicolon is like over here, not over there. But yes, I think that's basically all for this video. The next one I will look to see if this will now work with the music. If it does, then I'll probably do the join, leave, and play commands. If not, then I'll do the how to do moderation commands, and then with like user stuff, which we already done with the role commands, but we'll do more in depth of that. And then I'll look into like what is needed for this, for the music commands. But this is for right now. We're going to see what is going to happen. But yeah, this is the end of this one, so I'll see you guys later. So upon editing the video, I just realized I never explained what this was called. I actually looked it up today to see what the name was, and it's called an Elvis operator. Yes, I was going to do that during the video, then I realized that I didn't. So that's the thing. And also, even the magic text even said it that over in the bot file that the order for this does not matter. So I'll take the L for that. Yeah. And then I don't know why I have this still there, but yeah, so forgot to explain that, and don't listen to me when I was talking about that. Okay. Back to the actual video then.